I can't explain to you how scary this is to me. This is literally my number one fear in life. In dealing with something that's always scared me is the idea of mental disease, okay? Here's a big problem that we have, and we explore this a little bit when we talk about consciousness, okay? The problem with us as human beings is that as conscious creatures, everything that we observe is through the lens of our own consciousness. This is a very fucking scary idea, because you have no fucking idea, really, what's real and what's fake. You don't know that. All you have is your own ability to process things, and you can never, ever, ever step outside that, ever, no matter what you do. Well, with currently existing technology, you have no way of removing yourself from that frame of reference. You're permanently stuck there. Now, it sounds a little bit, now it sounds a little bit stoner bro to say like, you don't know what's real or what's fake, but these are issues that you have to deal with in many ways, whether you like it or not. Later in life, if you've seen people that have Alzheimer's or dementia or schizophrenics, right? These are people who are fully convinced that the reality that they perceive is the reality that is real, but it disagrees with every other observer on the planet, right? So obviously something is wrong with them. But if you were that person, how could you ever know that, right? If you're a person with Alzheimer's, how could you remember what you've forgotten? You can't. You're everything about your personal perception is totally fucked, right? If you have schizophrenia, how can you perceive a real voice from a fake one? If you're suffering from ADHD, how do you deal with an intrusive thought? If your personal frame of reference is tainted, it's not like you can just say like my consciousness is, a little bit fucky right now. It's my entire existence is predicated on this foundation that is now fucked, and there's nothing I can do to escape that. Right? That's not good. It's a scary thought that later in life your mental faculty will fail you, and you may lack the ability to perceive that because everything is based on your conscious self, right? That's really fucked. So this applies in a lot of other ways too, and I notice this more and more and more when I deal with these people who are the skeptics. I have conversations with people like Tonkasaw, or people like Ian, or people like Andy Warski, or people like JF, who is intelligent. JF is a smart guy, but he's fucking crazy. So, in dealing with all these people are totally lost. They're completely fucking lost. They're totally lost, but they don't even realize it. How could you let yourself get to that point? So you have to protect yourself at all times. I think you need to engage in behaviors that are constantly challenging your ideas and make sure you don't get lost in some fucking echo chamber, okay? I don't want to wake up in 10 years and look at my subreddit and then be like, what the fuck have we been doing here? Everything I've said has been so fucking wrong. I can't believe that I was so buried in my own fucking mindset. Do you know why? But you know what? That would never happen in 10 years, because if you've been doing the same shit for 10 years without ever challenging your idea, you're probably already lost to the world. Your mind is probably already some unchangeable thing that will never recover from the amount of circle jerking that has ever happened, okay? Challenge yourself constantly, okay? Don't circle jerk. Don't be an echo chamber. Engage with things on a critical level. Don't let yourself rot. Don't embrace the mental rot that so many people seem content to do by just circle jerking opinions that make you comfortable without ever having to think about anything. All right. Fuck. Okay. Jesus Christ. All right.
You feel like this because you lone wolf through life. Most people have friends and families whose perceptions they trust to such a degree they'd be able to rely on their opinions of them.
But that's even worse. This is one of the reasons why I'm glad I don't have friends, is I never have. I argue about this growing up. I don't know what's optimal, okay? Now that Hart and Devin aren't here, I'll say this a million times stronger than I did before, okay? Everything that I say may not apply to you. I might just be like some fucked up person and it only works for me. But one of the things that I'm grateful for is I had an immense amount of independence growing up. I was insanely independent, okay? But being independent means that every single idea I had, it was always combative. If I believed something, no one else around me believed it, so I would have to defend that idea. That's something that I learned growing up. In high school, if I had an idea in high school, I would have to test that idea. There were a lot of Democrats that went to my school, believe it or not, and I was very Republican, so I argued a ton with people. But there are pros and cons, I guess. The cons is you don't have friends. I don't give a fuck about that. But the pros are you learn that every idea you have, you must justify. I think you should be afraid of having friends that agree with you. That should be a very scary thing.
I love you, idiot.
And I've grown to such a point, like, I don't know. This is why I say, like, I'm really lucky in the way that I grew up. Like, if I want to immerse myself in something, it's always going to be in the opinions of somebody that I disagree with. I don't enjoy listening to people that I agree with. This is why I don't watch all the ContraPoints videos. I don't watch much Sean and Jen, but this is why I will watch videos from Sargon. I will listen to, I will listen to Fox News and the local radio host every day. Like, you should want, in my opinion, you should want to be challenged constantly. You don't want a group of friends. Like, nothing scares me more than the Skype chats where you jump in or you go onto Twitter and you've got your group of 55 people where you circle jerk with. I got invited to one of those groups. I'm not shit talking people in those groups. And maybe sometimes it could be healthy, but nothing is scarier to me than the idea that, like, it's like an iceberg. It's like an iceberg where you think. You think that you have a person that is, like, challenging themselves, right? Because maybe they put this much of themselves out there, but every single time somebody challenges their ideas even a little bit, they retreat back to this 50 million friends, the 50 million Skype groups, the 50 million subreddits, the 50 million news sites, the real life friends, all the people that will go and reaffirm every opinion that they had. Don't do this. Don't be this guy that you get challenged out here and then you retreat to your circle jerk. It was like, oh, this guy was so fucking dumb, right? He was so wrong, right? He was so wrong, right? He was so stupid. He was so crazy, right? Oh my God, right? That guy was so dumb, right? I don't want to challenge any of my beliefs. Like, everything is here. Like, don't be this guy. Don't do that. Don't be the guy that has to be in the group with 50 million people that always agree with every single thing they say, because here's a question that I ask myself always, okay? This is one of the most important... Are you ready? This is one of the most important questions in life that you can ask yourself about an idea, okay? This is so fucking important. And it's the easy way to find out if somebody is honest with themselves or not, okay? What would it take to convince you that you're wrong? That's a very important question to ask. If you believe strongly in something, right? I believe that Russian collusion is a thing. I think that healthcare should be a right. I think that immigration is good, right? What would it take to convince you that you're wrong about any of these ideas? If you can't come up with an answer, that should frighten the fuck out of you, okay? If you have a belief that is unfalsifiable, that is unassailable, that no one could challenge, that should make you stop and think, like, okay, hold on, dude. I believe in something so strongly, like, nobody can attack me on it. Like, there's nothing that would change my mind. That's a problem. There has to be something. Like, I believe that healthcare should be a right to all Americans. What would change my mind on that, right? You should have answers, right? Well, if you could show me capitalist economies that are functioning with healthcare that works in free market solutions, I would believe in a free market alternative to healthcare. If you can show me massive systemic failure in socialized healthcare across the world, I would believe in socialized healthcare, or I would think that social healthcare is not good, right? These are questions that you should always be asking yourself. If you ever have a belief that you feel so strongly in that you can't be persuaded against it, then that belief has become something less than logic and reason, and more into, like, faith or some core unshakable belief that nothing should ever be. I don't know if this is an extreme attitude born more out of the places you grew up with. Most people can't handle that kind of constant introspection and retain a reasonable measure of happiness. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, maybe, but, like, even intelligent people like JF himself said that he doesn't value introspection. How can you ever be sure? Like, I don't want to be a JF when I grow up. I don't want to be somebody that can unironically say, like, I seduce 19-year-olds and bring them to my house to make bobbies, and I've been accused of sexual assault 7 times, but I'm totally in the right about everything. There's no way that I could be wrong, right? JF is somebody who intellectually I respect. I think he's a very interesting mind. He's educated, and he's got a strong grasp on philosophy, but he's so lost in himself. He's totally lost, right? His foundation of evolutionary biology and viewing the world through that paradigm is unshakable, right? That should scare you. When you see people that you perceive to be as incredibly intelligent, and it seems like they have some unshakable belief that they're totally irrational, that should be frightening to you. I guess I'm not saying that you need to be combative, like, all the time, but just be open to change. I don't know. How do you push for actual change? How do you rally people to do the correct thing? If you can't engage with those people, Contra and these leftists want to enact policy, which you focus on, but that requires engaging and rallying people of like minds to find... Yeah, that's a different thing. They can do their thing, okay? I don't like... And I know that a lot of people have a hard time believing this, and I can understand why people have a hard time believing this, but, like, I don't have a political agenda. It's just not interesting to me. It sounds so tippy fucking saying this, but, like, I'm interested in the arguments and I like the fact finding. I like to find out what is true. These are the things that are the most interesting to me. I like arguments and I like finding out what is true. These are the things that I enjoy the most. Getting people to be politically on my side, or to go out and vote, or to push a policy. Like, these aren't, they're interesting to me, but they're not my primary goal. They've never been my primary goal. You should make it hard for opposition to not be... You make it hard for opposition to not be combative, though. That's fine. I love combative opposition because I'm always open to change my mind, okay? I am. I really am. If you show me data, if you show me empirical data that betrays my point, I will reconsider my point. I will always do this. And you should do it too, okay? Unless it's about League of Legends. Fuck League of Legends. JF has no intention to learn anything from the opposition. He has an agenda. That's why you're not going to be like him. Sure, maybe, but just don't. But don't let yourself... Don't do it. What would change your mind? What would it take to change your mind about the importance of being introspective? Do you believe that JF has no moral principles in these regards? JF's morality is derived from a ultra bastardized form of libertarianism that he views through the lens of evolutionary biology. As long as you understand that, you can understand everything, every value that JF will have. That whatever propagates his genes would be considered morally righteous or acceptable. That's what JF would argue. That's the JF point of view. I'm sorry, can I clarify? Let me step back and clarify. When I say you need to be combative, I don't mean that you need to combat other people. I was speaking about it in an introspective sense. You need to be combative with yourself. When I say be combative, what I mean is that I have an idea, okay? I think that CNN puts out decent work, okay? That's an idea that I'm willing to test at every single point in time. That's what I mean by combative. Not like I'm gonna go on the streets and scream, fuck you, CNN is the best shit in the world, fuck off, fuck you, Breitbart, fuck you, InfoWars. That's not what I mean by being combative. What I just mean is I have an idea and I'm willing to challenge this idea at any point in time. Somebody says that CNN is fake news. Okay, let's engage with that idea. Why do you think CNN is fake news? Somebody says that Trump should be able to do this thing. Somebody says that immigration is bad. Okay, let's argue about it, right? Or not even argue about it, but I'm going to reevaluate this idea based on new evidence, right? Somebody links something, that maybe soy really is, gives you huge man boobs and a small dick, right? Okay, well, fuck it. Let's challenge this idea. No idea is unchallengeable, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Not that you literally need to fight over all of your ideas.
Now I'm going to discuss...
I'm good. We're good. Don't be circle jerkers, okay? My ultimate scared idea is being trapped in my own thoughts and then realizing 10 or 15 or 20 years down the line, or never realizing that you've been wrong about something that you never were willing to reconsider, okay? Don't do that. Don't be that guy, okay?